what's up you guys? My name is Amber, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing an updated book review of 10 Things I Can See From Here by Carrie Mac. Yes, you did hear that correctly. I am doing an updated review, which means that I have already reviewed this book on my channel. You can go ahead and check it out if you would like, because it'll give you a lot of background to what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But I do recognize that it is very poorly produced. It is from the beginning of my channel, so no harm, no foul if you think it's a video. I read this book for the first time about a year and a half ago, and I ended up rereading the book again because we're currently under a global pandemic, so your girl needed something to do and has limited reading materials, aka what I've already read. So we're rereading some books because I have decided that I only want to keep books that I want to read again in the future. And about like the last year, 2 years ago, whenever, I went through a period of time where I just read a ton of books and retained like none of the plots from any of them. So like I couldn't tell you what most of the books were about that I had read, including ones that I had reviewed. So like I had to rewatch my review from this one, and I was like, oh, because pretty much the consensus of my opinion on my last review was that it was overall pretty cute. And I don't know what me from a year ago was thinking, because that is not at all the vibe that I got from it again this year. For anybody who does not know what I'm talking about, 10 Things I Can See From Here is about a teenage Maeve who suffers from a super hella intense anxiety disorder and goes through a summer living with her father, who she doesn't typically live with full time, and it goes through her experience getting a girlfriend and her dad relapsing from addictions that he's suffered from in the past, and trying to balance all of that with her anxiety disorder, and just nothing is going right in her life at this point in time. And I want to make some addendums to what I had said previously. One, that I thought how the anxiety was represented was fairly accurate. And this is coming, like, I do suffer from some like minor anxiety myself, and I don't know if maybe I was just at a worse mental point with my anxiety when I first read this, or what the deal was, but I don't really think the anxiety was as accurately represented as it could have been. It definitely wasn't awful, and I wouldn't doubt that the author has some form of experience with anxiety, like whether it be herself or she knows people with it, but in the way that it is represented in this book is very, very, very extreme, to the point of potentially being triggering for some people. But overall, I kind of just think that it's a little much, and it does make the book a little hard to get through. Not super bad, like I was able to read the book very, very easily. I think I finished it in like a day or two, but the anxiety does make it not as fun to read as it could. And I'm not like, it's not necessarily intended to be a fun read. I just think it could have been represented better in more effective ways. Another thing I would like to address is that apparently me from a year ago thought that the relationship between the two main characters, spoiler warning for this whole review, so they are dating for a while in the book. And in my previous review, I said that they had a lot of really cute interactions and that it was fun to read. And this time around, I really didn't think so. Honestly, I don't think that the couple had very much chemistry at all. Like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a dysfunctional relationship. I wasn't like bothered that this was the queer representation that was being presented. I just don't think it was nearly as cute as I had led my followers to believe. I don't know if it's just I've grown as a person, and so like I did think that it was really cute, and now I'm like, not so much. Or if I was just clouded by, again, you know, it's hard to come across young adult books that have queer representation that's not just like a throwaway side character. We are getting now more in time, but This, I believe it was published in 2017, so this was one of the earlier ones that we would have seen. Now there are a lot more options, but there weren't when I bought this book. So it's not by any means a bad relationship, I just don't think it was a great relationship. They definitely could have been a lot cuter and a lot more, not even cute, because like you don't have to be cute all the time. That's obviously like not super realistic for a real life relationship, but there just didn't really seem to be all that much chemistry for them to have even gotten together in the first place. So, however, okay, I will have to say though, that is very, very, very accurate to the queer experience. You know, pretty much everybody I know who is in the community, like, will date people simply because they were able to find somebody whose sexuality or romantic affiliation meshed well with theirs, even if they will have terrible relationships. And I say this laughing because like most of them are out of those relationships now, so it's fine to look back on. Like obviously actual like dysfunctional relationships are not good, but you know, they will get themselves into like either mediocre or not that great relationships simply because the other person is also queer. And it's like, my dudes, I don't care what your romantic or sexual affiliation is, like you're allowed to have standards for yourself. And like the characters in this book definitely should have had standards for themselves, because like there wasn't much chemistry. Like there were a few things that they, and I don't even say that they did for each other. Like Maeve's girlfriend was much more romantic than Maeve was, because Maeve was so, I don't want to say she's self-centered. I didn't think she was self-centered. She just had so much going on with her anxiety and her family issues that she couldn't actually have like show affection in a way that I felt her girlfriend should have been seeing compared to how good her girlfriend was to her. But again, that's also, that's kind of realistic because that's how, you know, it is sometimes in real life. Like obviously things aren't going to be perfect all the time, and sometimes people go through emotional things that they can't fully share with their partners. So sometimes, you know, it does kind of fall on one partner versus another to be a little bit more active in the affection side of the relationship. And again, like that shouldn't, I'm not trying to say that that's normal like long term. You know, there are certain situations where that is okay for short periods of time. That is not at all how you should like base a relationship. Please do not take that as what I am saying. If you are in a relationship where long term one of you is putting a lot more effort into the relationship than the other, like reconsider the relationship. But during times of emotional crisis, that is somewhat acceptable to an extent. Trying to cover my bases because I don't want anything I say to come off wrong, especially when it comes to topics including the queer community or mental health or, you know, addiction and like familial relations and stuff like that, because I know what I mean and I don't want to just assume that other people know what I mean. Overall, I was not mad about reading this, but I definitely did not like necessarily enjoy reading it. So I think I'm actually going to pass this book along to somebody else who may enjoy it a little bit more than I can. See, I feel bad because like it wasn't bad. I just thought it wasn't like, it just wasn't necessarily enjoyable to read. It wasn't like unenjoyable. I don't know how to like properly convey. I think the proper feelings for what I'm feeling towards it is just indifferent. Like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't fantastic. And I don't want to keep books on my shelf and in my life that aren't fantastic. Like I'm going to start having standards for my bookshelf. Just like you should have standards in relationships, have standards for your bookshelves. I really don't think that I would ever end up reading this again or craving to read this again. So I am going to unhaul this and pass it along to somebody else. But that is not to say that you guys would not enjoy it. I would definitely look into other reviews and synopses for yourself to see if it is something that you are interested in. Because I wouldn't necessarily not recommend it, but I wouldn't like overtly recommend it either. I feel like everything I say just makes me sound like a hypocrite. And I'm making this video simply because I did watch my old video, which was what, I've gotten so much better at editing. I am so sorry if you guys suffered through my earlier videos. Thank you for still being here. But I felt bad having that be my review of this book because I feel like my review was so overwhelmingly positive and like, hey, you should read this book. Like, look how cute and like good it was about mental health and the queer community. And that's just not how I feel about it anymore. So I wanted a little bit of an updated opinion so you guys actually know where I fall on the subject now. Because I didn't want anybody to be like, oh, like she recommends this book, and then have them read it and have them be like, ew, and then discredit my opinion because that's not even my own opinion anymore. Like, I don't care if you disagree with me. I care that I disagree with how I used to think. So I wanted to make sure that my most current opinion of it was put out there, simply because my last video, it wasn't that long ago. Like, I only published my last review of this book like a year ago. So I don't know if I've just grown a lot with my reading tastes and my opinions in the past year, or if last year I was just clouded by the sheer amount of books that I was reading at one time, or you know what. But these are my current, as of 2020, opinions. If you want to check it out, I will have links to everything listed down below. You can check out my original review for this if you want to see how and why my opinions have changed. And if there is anything else you would like to see me review, book-wise or other, I have a whole smorgasbord of content on my channel. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a blast hanging out with y'all. Peace.